Welcome to Industry Talk, everybody. Bradford hates that, and I love it.
I know, you should have seen the face that Quinn was making.
Cured my ear infection.
Don't hate on the Bowie synthesizer.
It's cool. I like it.
The stylophone.
All right, today, boys, we are going to talk about expectations versus reality when you get to set. My thought on this was, we all had our first day on set. We all had our days that we hadn't been on set and dreamed of being on set. So I just kind of wanted to have an open conversation about. You can crack that. You can go ahead and crack that.
I was waiting for the first of my. I got a story for you.
So, Quinn, you are the greenest of us.
FNG.
So it's probably the most fresh in your head. And you came from MPI, right?
Yep. Motion Picture Institute.
And I've worked with quite a few of the people who have gone there. And it seems that a lot of them, based on what they were prepared for from their instructors, differs from what actually happens on set. Do you find that to be true?
Absolutely. So MPI, it's a lot better than most film programs in terms of there's not much film theory. It's all like technical stuff, and they really, really stress pre-pro, which is why you're so dumbfounded when you actually get into the Michigan film industry and they're like, pre-pro, what's that? Wait, is that where you like do work before you click roll on the camera?
And it's not everybody. It's not everybody.
It's not everybody.
I've got
a huge demographic of that.
There's a project I've got coming soon, and I've been talking with the director, and we're a couple months out, and we're already in conversation. So that already makes me happy.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. There's a lot of productions that I've been on that have a serious lack of prep. They thought they did, they say they did, but I think the understanding of what actually needs to happen during pre-production is probably just a bit misunderstood by a lot of the
it's
people
refreshing to know that there is a film school out there that is focusing on the pre-production. And when I do work with people who have come through MPI, I do recognize that about them, that they're as disturbed as I am about how regular protocol is not being what do you mean you didn't do a tech scout? No, I asked for one. It was denied. So
not to show the Michigan film industry. Like there is I'm a little bit on the lower tier, but so I see a lot of that no pre-pro jobs. But Joe, I mean, he could tell you he worked on like this awesome music video, like where it was he's done some bigger stuff where pre-pro is definitely a thing, and it's definitely in Michigan. So not to make everyone think that Michigan is like
that's what I was going to say too.
A wasteland.
We're strictly talking the lower end of the indie film market, right?
So I want to kind of say there isn't an excuse, but I understand. I understand why it is. So the biggest thing out here especially is turn and burn, right? You got to keep moving.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately,
nobody's paying for pre-production or post-production.
Unfortunately, with the budgets that are available,
gotta be on set.
But to that, I want to stress how much money can be saved by proper pre-production, because I have seen money spent on the day that could have been way less had it been, thought about and
10
discussed.
10 or 20,000 here, where you're like, that could have been 5. Why didn't you tell anybody? Yeah.
Or just time, just simple time, dollars. This
is the equipment that we have, and you built this set to these specifications. We can't get the shot you have that you want with the set you built with the equipment we have because somebody didn't do a measurement.
You built a bridge that opens up at the top, and we're not going to actually use it?
The equipment won't fit over the top.
Man.
Yeah, and that's just math. That's just, there was math done for the construction, but...
Well, had we planned for that, then we could have known and, planned to, take the light rig down and put it on the crane. This was a real camera. It could have been fixed.
Yes, right.
Had it been planned properly.
Right. So
we had the means.
I find that pre-production is easily where they first, because I mean, one of the recent discussions I had with a potential work opportunity was talking about pre-production, and they hadn't considered that that I would even want to be paid for that. And I get when budgets are done, and the more that someone asks for, the more it cuts in. But the important thing to think about when you're going into something that you hope to produce and hope to make money from, your potential for earning is going to be better if the product is better.
Yes.
And if you can, just plan properly and slow down a little bit before rushing in, I think
Right.
that's kind of where we're at with.
For sure. So to further what you're saying, with our movie Nightcap that we're working on, the reason we haven't fully come forward with the budget and really been looking for funding, which is the stage we are at, is because we realize no matter how involved we are in the crew, we still don't fully understand where does all the money need to go. So as we're building the budget, we're like, well, did we cover everything?
Mm-hmm.
Have we covered everything?
Because
before we're asking for money and submitting for this, we need to know that every avenue is covered for post.
And I think that's the important thing. So I think
and pre.
With a lot of the experience that I've had,
and post.
a lot of people
Marketing has to be involved in the budget.
A lot of people have a script or an idea, and then they have somebody who says, I have this much money. Now you need to fit whatever you want inside of that, as opposed to, this is the project I have, this is what I estimated it will cost.
Right.
How can we find that to make sure we do that appropriately?
Right.
And I think that gives you two different work scopes.
We are not forcing ourselves to pull the trigger on how much it's going to cost. We want to make sure we have every right person in the right seat so nothing goes overlooked, because we've seen too many things go overlooked because, well, we don't have money for that.
So pre-production was one of the things that really struck you when you got in.
Yeah, I mean, my first set, basically, I didn't just go from film school to sets. There was basically a couple month period where I was trying to get on sets, then COVID, and then
Right.
and then went away for the military, then came back from the military, tried to get on sets for a few months. Parents were hounding me, get a job, got a job for a year, quit that job to pursue sets, then finally got on film sets, and then finally started consistently working. So it was a process, but when I finally got there, I was just like, enough of MPI was still in my head where I was like, whoa. So
I think one of the important distinctions to make is there are a unlimited amount of types of film sets that you'll be on, and I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but I personally haven't been on a Hollywood level set of organization and budget and so forth, so I don't have that experience to speak on, but I've been on varying types of budgets, so I think it's important to not degrade the existence of one or another, but just learn from what that type does, right? Because I think there are some things that are done at an independent level that I appreciate that, maybe has a big influence on, my opinion of Steven Spielberg type movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, why go big if you can get it done?
Right.
Because you have the fucking money. You have the. Yeah, why not when you have.
So that being said, just establishing that I understand that we understand that there's multiple different levels of types of sets, and our experience is limited. Coming from the MPI school, I asked you because we went to Specs, and that was more TV based, and so the curriculum
TV and radio, or they wanted you to be a editor, director, or
so the discipline and the expectation was set a bit differently. But when you got on set, and you've worked 10 plus projects now, yeah.
now it's up to 14, but
so
we're getting up there.
Nice, bro.
Did you think that the scheduling was going to be quite like the schedules you've worked? Have you worked any crazy schedules yet?
I mean, what do you mean by crazy schedule? Like a crazy abusive schedule, or just like a big movie?
So
16 to 18 hours. Come back in 6.
I mean more along the lines of.
turnarounds.
I mean more along the lines of you've got a 10-day shoot, and the first 3 days are days, the second 2 are overnights, and then you got a weekend off to reset to days and then to overnights. I mean, did you? I mean,
no. I mean, the job I was on not too long ago, there was consistently 3 to 4 hours OT. Mm-hmm. But the crew fought for 12-hour turnaround. I haven't really been on a crazy abusive set. I mean, I've had my my fair share of staying up all night for multiple days in the military, but that's not a movie set. But I guess I really haven't been like crazily abused, or I guess if we're getting compensated, just crazy on the grind in terms of like something really like Joe's saying, like 18-hour days where it's like 6-hour turnaround kind of thing.
Did you know going in that you were going to be working minimum 12-hour days? Was that something they set up an expectation
they
for?
set that up. They definitely don't say that too much because, like, and another thing they don't say about,
because that's not like that on union. I'm not saying they don't work overtime, but you're guaranteed your payment, and so they make an effort to get people out in 10 hours.
They say it, but they don't do the whole like hey. Being in the film world's like it's hard work. Like they don't really stress that because one secret about MPI is about less than 30% of the people that go there actually end up staying in the industry for more than like 5 years, I think. Like based off like it's like out of my class, it's like me and like 6 people out of like
it's not
40.
it's not really a quantifiable industry. Like if you're going in saying, well, I need to make this much an hour and work these many hours and I need this much of my free time, this is not the industry for you.
And that's another reason why
you need to have a passion.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have this conversation. Yes, that's really what I'm going for, because I going in. It was 20 years.
Make a substantial living. You can.
It was 20 years before I became an actual film, worker, like where I can say that this is my job. So I've wanted it for a very long time. But even back then, I had the attitude that I wanted to get on set and, for lack of a better word, be abused for a while to quote unquote earn my way. So it's like I had that attitude, but PAs on set nowadays, it's like as soon as they get inconvenienced, they're like, oh, fuck this shit. This isn't what I signed up for, as opposed to seeing like, hey, yes, I'm picking up trash and these people are fucking filthy, but I can learn something from here. I did as well.
So the first TV show that I got on that was like a real union gig here in Michigan before the incentives left, right? This was the year the incentives left. So like I was really fighting to get into the union that year because I thought it could actually be beneficial a beneficial thing. But when all the incentives leave, then what's the point of being in the union? All the fucking jobs left. Anyway, so I'm in this movie and I'm in this TV show. I'm hired on as a PA. I was not a PA for 2 days. The second day, the art director saw me just taking charge of other PAs to get stuff done in a more organized manner, because there was just this list of things and people just like fight. I want to do that. I want to do that. Okay, well, you do this because you wanted to do that. And I just found the ease of it. You know what I mean? Some people are born leaders, right? I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but a leader saw that in me and pulled me out and said, well, you're going to help us be. And I wound up head of construction for this show for 8 seasons.
So I think that's an important story, especially for our market. So hopefully we have people who are listening from multiple different areas, and this may not be true if you live close to Hollywood or close to a place where a lot of large budget movies are done. In those cases, a PA is a PA, and you're going to do the things you do. But here, like we were talking about, budgets are a constraint here in Michigan.
Right.
We work on a lot of lower tier, less not just sub million, but sub 500,000, sub 100,000.
This was my first $1 million production.
Let me.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
So when you end up on a set as a PA, a lot of times it's because they're looking for low cost labor or no cost labor. And you might be asked to come to set and be there for 12 or 14 hours and get paid very little or even almost nothing. To nothing, but the only reason you should be taking that job is because you want to move from that position up, and this is why I think Joe's
tenacity.
This is why I think Joe's story.
That job was.
This is why I think Joe's story is important, because you can quickly move in one of these scenarios from a PA to something of note and be getting hands-on instruction in a way faster opportunity. I have seen people go from PA to second ACs or PAs to what we would call a second AD. We haven't really seen them, but those types of responsibilities that you wouldn't ordinarily on a large, if you were one of 50 PAs or one of a team of PAs, that you wouldn't get the opportunity to do. So it's important that the small jobs are done, but there's a high reality of an opportunity where there's a hole that needs to be filled on set because the budget wasn't enough to put a person there,
Right.
you could all of a sudden become props because you are a free hand. And if they notice that your tenacity and your observation is enough to be able to flip that cup
Precisely.
over and put just enough Pepsi back in it before the next roll, you now have a job so that next time you get on set and you say, oh, hey, you know what? I can do props. There's more to the job. Please don't get me wrong. There's more to the job, but now you've already got that hands-on experience
That's exactly
in that
right.
department that you can now you've got an opportunity to be something other than a PA.
Right, and that's what happened here. So I was hired on, and it was a paying gig. It was $100 a day for PA, and they did have a decent budget, but they were just trying to get the most help for the least amount of money, right? Which is perfectly understandable, but they had the money to work. So when the leaders, this guy Neil Wicks, who was the art director, and his wife Ayanna Floyd, she was the production designer. They saw my tenacity, my ability, and he asked me to come. Like, he didn't just approach me like, "Oh, you're a leader." He came to me and he said, "Oh, you're doing really well. I need this done," and he had me go build some things for him. And I built them so fast and so well that he was like, "Can I put a couple people under you, and you get these couple things done?" And he gave me a day to get like 5 things done with 5 people under me. I got it done in half a day. And he made sure that the executive producers paid me $250 a day, and he gave me head of construction, like. And then I had I was doing on-set greenskeeper. I became the guy to cover whatever the umbrella needed to.
I would say, for anybody coming into the industry, one of the things, the best pieces of advice that I could give is be useful. Would you agree with that, Quinn?
Yeah, and be cheap. Like, the only reason why I'm here is because I was DITing on a really low-tier movie, and I basically followed one of our close colleagues onto another set after asking them if I could come on, paid for them, and then they said no, and then a day later I asked them if I could come on for free, and they're like, sure, why not? And then they liked me and kept me. You sometimes your worth is zero at the beginning. Sometimes you have to they don't
You have
want
to offer yourself
Yeah.
to come in and prove your worth when they see oh, we got to pay that guy because if we don't, he won't come back.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the way.
I wouldn't be afraid to be free at first, and then if you stay free, it's probably because you suck. But if you stay free, it's because your worth is actually
If
zero.
somebody out there, when I first saw Quinn, I was like, this cat has something going on, and he knows his shit. He has a tenacity that you can't teach, and I wanted to give him more knowledge so that he could, you know what I mean? True people, a talent recognize talent, and I want people that have the tenacity, have the want, the passion for this industry. You know what I mean? You can be a hard worker and not be for this industry. And I'm going to back anybody who I believe in for sure, but there's just there was something I saw in you where you came in, you were like, well, tell me what to do, blah blah, how can I be better? You're always searching for that next step. And that's something that regardless of what you weren't even being paid when I found out for that, and he had that much vigor still. So
No, well, and then you approached me, and I didn't know because having been AD on that set, there were some people who showed up that didn't get a schedule from me. So I was like, who are you? What are you? And I don't know what your agreements were.
I don't know. I found out that there was a grip being paid to grip that wasn't gripping any day, and this cat comes out of the woodwork doing. I didn't have to ask him for shit. If I showed him something once, he did it every time. Hey, this is how I do this. Boom, it was done. Before I had to ask for it.
So if you were to...
That's rewarded, buddy.
If you were to... Because we've accidentally started doing something here, and I like it, so I'm going to keep going with it. So we've got be useful, we've got be free. If you were to summarize that description you just gave us, what would you say that would be as far as a tip to somebody getting on set? Be tenacious.
Be hungry.
Be hungry.
But cautious.
Probably
Know your line, and toe that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Never step back from it. Be ready to step over it and jump right back behind it.
I think
you don't
the
want to go
next-
too far past it.
The next thing that I would add then would be curious. Would you guys agree with
Yeah.
that?
Curious?
yeah.
Like the fucking cat.
Yeah.
I would
You got
say
9 lives. It won't kill you but 8 times.
never be afraid. Have you ever had any trouble on set asking a question and getting an answer from somebody?
No.
I think if you're ever on set in any position and you have a question, choose the right time, obviously, but seek out information. Don't wait for information to fall in your plate. I think you need to.
Okay, so like personally, I can be very intense on set because I get hyper focused, right? I have the ADHD. You know, I get a little fucking. So sometimes my answers when you ask a question can be a little curt.
Yes, facts.
But that doesn't mean I'm angry at you or I don't genuinely want you to know the answer to it. So just because somebody can be like
Just
really
because
into
you're first, remember that everybody is working.
Yes.
That's
That's what I'm saying. So you said find the right time. Sometimes you find the wrong time. But
Yep.
that doesn't mean you're going to get the wrong answer. You better just get the wrong tone.
And I would
or
say
attitude.
if you cower from a response like that and are then trepidatious and reapproaching, that would hurt your future, you know, inadvertently or you know, like we will take notice
Like
of
if
that.
it's the first time I've hired you and you come to me with a question and I'm like rigging a light and I say, well, it's this. And I'm just like, I will probably come back to you and go, sorry, this is what you're asking, right? Well, it is that, but here's why. And
Right.
I will approach that. But if you are now scared of me because I snapped at you, I'm probably not hiring you
Wait
again.
until the truck is being packed and be like, hey, earlier, you know, you were asking me to do this with the C-stand. What did you mean?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Timing is
always, you know, be open to learning something new and asking questions and open to being embarrassed. I think that's important.
For sure, yeah. I definitely I revel in the people I hire always teach me something. Because if I asked you to do something and you don't do it the way that I would do it, I've just learned from you. That's another way to approach that.
One of the things that is that I love about the film industry, especially out here because we have, you know, such short schedules. You know, very seldom do we get a 4-week schedule. You know, oftentimes it's a 10-day, 12-day, you know, 2-week. But that amount of time spent with the same people still feels like a long time. Have either of you found that?
Oh, bonds have been made, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really trying to find a way to. Have you noticed?
The most important thing is just being, and again, this falls under the umbrella of being a hard worker, but being someone that someone else wants to hang with for 12 hours a day, 14 days in a row. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
being a cool motherfucker is like part of the job.
Yeah.
Like, well, I could not see these people for 12, 15, 24 months, but we spent 14 beautiful, horrendous days together, right?
In the fucking icy snow. Or
And when you show up on set and they're like, "Oh, Joe," and you're like, "Oh, fucking yeah," you know, like it's like no time has passed. It could have been 2-3 years, but that kinship doesn't age.
Right. I would definitely say
You're just ready to create together again.
You know, if you work a regular job, and by regular job I mean the same place, the same people
9
on
to
a
5,
regular,
whatever hours.
whatever the hours are, but it's a continuous pattern.
Same
You
Susie.
already know, like, there's the people you like going to work with and the people you don't like going to work with, and all of us are
It's Ron on the schedule again today.
all of us, every single one of us is somebody's. Oh God, I got to work with him.
Yeah. But we're also all somebody's, oh, I get to work with him.
Right. So in those situations, you are always going. And what's great about this is because it's in these cycles of on, off, you grow these strengths with people. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely people who have left a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't like seeing them again.
do that a few times, you probably won't come around again. So it's freelance.
Exactly, because we are independent contractors.
There are a lot of people I work with that won't work with a lot of people I work with. I'm happy to bridge that gap. Like, I don't want to name any names. I'm not gonna go there. But I just it's something I see and I'm aware of, and I know you guys are aware of. Like, and a lot of the really talented people in the indie industry throughout the nation they know, like, there's There are things you do and things you don't do, right? And
So the point,
hope for the best.
what we're bringing to is word of mouth is important in this industry. A lot of the work that you're going to get, a lot of the work that you hope to get, is from your name being mentioned by somebody else. And so, being always on point of representing yourself in the best possible light and being as reachable as possible. Like you want to be the solution to somebody's problem, and that's what gets you put on set. Would you agree?
yeah, 100%. When the last 3 clients that have approached me that I've not worked with have all said, I have heard great things about you and I need you on my project. Now, have I worked on those projects? Not necessarily. Sometimes the budget and the negotiations don't go the way you want, but it's a good reputation going around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm hungry to work with them, they're hungry to work with me, and hopefully one day that will come. But sometimes
You
they
need to
don't
realize
match.
that you are your product.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what that looks like, he's a department head, but what that looks like is someone that is 1 to 2 levels below a department head is getting there before the grip trailer gets there, and like figuring out where he's going to park and doing all the extra steps so that he can just focus on the artistic part. You know,
That's a good
bridging
point.
the gap,
Well,
being
that's
the
how I
cushion.
got to the department
Yeah.
head, is being someone who was always there early, because early's on time is late.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially on a movie set. When we say 8 o'clock, you better be there at 7:30, because otherwise you miss breakfast, and now nobody gives a fuck if you're cranky.
Yeah.
We got a job to do, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to always check out the schedule on Google Maps before the day before. You know,
Yep.
do a street level view. What am I pulling up into? What am I?
Plan
Oh,
your
shit.
arrive time. Know the traffic patterns. Check out the weather. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to know.
Yeah, I have like every type of coat you could ever need in my car, just because
Just sitting there.
I will
Yep.
not be cold on set.
I got a rain suit. I got
dudes will be
everything.
shivering and crying, and I will be sweating because I have every coat I would ever need.
You brought all that military
dressing in
gear.
layers. That's actually a pretty good segue. Was there any discussion in class as far as dressing? I mean, so it's harder for me to answer this question because I was mid-30s by the time I got onto set. So if I hadn't figured out life,
Yeah.
shame on me.
Look, if you're in crew behind the scenes, I don't care what position, PA, AD, I don't give a fuck. If you are behind the camera, waterproof shoes with safety toes.
Yeah. 100%
Comfortable
safety toes.
insoles. You'd be standing for
Yeah.
12 hours, and you might want something to sit on that's cushiony.
Is
because-
attire addressed at all in?
Yeah, they talked about the whole like wear all black on set thing,
Yeah.
which isn't really a thing in Michigan.
I mean, no,
I did it the
is.
first
You
few
should
days.
dress black,
you really
but-
should, but so sometimes I'll do it on the first or second day, and if I notice that there's a serious lack, I'm
You
like, all
want
right,
to
well,
show
you know
up
what?
in dress blacks and feel out the production, because there's been times where I've shown up just with the fucking orange hanky in my back pocket, and they're like, "Get that guy with the orange out of here!" And I was like, and threw it out, and because I was standing on a frame and holding it,
Yeah.
and my butt was reflecting off the car. This was just a commercial for one of the top 4 car companies,
Yeah.
and the director was just being a dick. But whatever, because I'd been killing it, and
Yeah,
I was
so-
holding it this way. And then the wind flipped, so I had to
So much
turn
wind.
around, and then he saw the orange in my
Yeah,
back pocket.
it was
and
poor
I didn't
planning.
even throw it. I literally just tucked it in my pocket, and he goes.
But I mean,
"Oh, whoa."
that's an important example because
Yes,
that
it is.
can destroy
That could have
somebody.
destroyed my reputation, because this director is huge in the car commercial world. Like this guy's like any car commercial that's been on the
what
Super
about
Bowl. it's
shoes
this
and
dude.
comfort and anything like that? Do they
So,
give you any idea of what the general personable comfort
It
is on
wasn't-
set?
It wasn't like that. Like we didn't get too much. It was a very creating directors and creating ADs and creating producers. That's what the program wanted. They wanted.
So I feel like those
We have people graduating
Yeah.
who don't
They
realize
wanted
they
to-
still
I
need
feel
to
like
go
there are
through the
certain
ringer.
pains. There
Yeah.
are certain pains that you need to understand in order to be good at those
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah, if I want to be a
Yeah.
director, I still
Yeah,
need to
all
figure
those-
out what a casting agent
Yeah.
is. What
all the grads that wanted that called themselves DPs, they didn't realize that all they were was PAs and second ACs. They're like all the like they MPI they want to create like the big names, right? So the whole point of it is like
They hope
for
they
you
get
to-
a Spike Jonze.
the whole point is for us to direct and create 3 films while we're there, and the third one we're supposed to take to like the circuit, right? And so that's the whole point, is like they're farming for like clout in the future. They're creating these guys to build their school. The whole point is to create directors. That's basically what the program. You're there to be a director, and it's kind of like there's like these workshops that are like 1 to 2 weeks. It's like a 2-week how to be like a boom guy, a sound engineer, whatever. Then
2
like
weeks.
yeah,
Not
for
enough
sound.
time.
Yeah, it's not enough. We'd spent like a month on what I would call G&E. No class like when I was on Topper, for example, I still don't really understand like the whole like electric side of Genie that well, and there was no talk.
Where the house almost burnt down and I saved our lives.
Yeah, like that. There was no talk of that. It was just kind of like the artistic, philosophical, like key hair, fill, light, and stuff like that.
None
like
of the practical, electrical.
like it was. But
very important.
But they hammer pre-production. They hammer creating directors. They really, I mean, in terms of like what type of shoes to wear and what type of like coats and stuff, there was no talk of that. There was no talk of like, of course they say like 15 minutes early, but there wasn't really talk of personal prep. You know, they didn't say that keep a lighter in your pocket in case like a big guy on set wants a smoke or something like that. They didn't say
Keep
shit.
a lighter,
like that.
have your Leatherman, a wrench, a knife, a flashlight, a headlamp, all these little things.
Yeah, they didn't.
So, and I
Your
think
toolkit. I don't care what job. A PA needs a toolkit, man.
Yeah. So I think the point to be made here isn't so much to, and it doesn't sound like you were, so I'm not implying this, but to degrade the education processes that some of us go, because I think you're limited, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm curious in asking. But I think that's brings us to the point where. Experience comes into play. These are things that you learn and you pick up along the way. So
they do a lot of things right, though. Like
that's what I was saying. So the things that you were mentioning are all important things. I think that's all paramount. But I think to your other point where you're saying that everyone comes out and they're like, I'm a DP or I'm a director. I think there is this this ego thing, and if there's a message I can send out to anybody else who's interested in trying to get into this, is don't be afraid to be a PA. Don't be afraid to be a grip.
100%.
Don't be afraid to be lower tier departments. Like to jump right ahead into a department head of some kind without any kind of experience is only going to hurt you in becoming the best in that position that you can be.
I am 100% ready to be a DP. I have no problem riding out being a gaffer. I'm hungry. I want a DP, right? But I understand the value of my knowledge.
I think that,
I tell some of my DPs what lens to use, what ND filter to use, because I know enough about the camera, and I surprise the shit out of them with that.
If I were to make an analogy of some kind, I'm ignorant to so many different industries and fields, so this would be shooting but if we were to make, it's okay, let's say construction, right?
Shooting fish in a barrel is easy until it's dark out. Right.
Right. So let's use a farmer, right? You got to work the farm, somebody else's farm for a while, shovel the shit. You got to repair the fence. You've got to, in order for you to be like, man, when I have my farm, I'm going to do it this way. Yeah. When I
Pauly Shore, son-in-law.
When I own animals, this is how So I think for all of our experiences, that's important here as well. I think you should cherish and treasure the time that you do in the trenches.
Yes.
Because one of a couple of things. There's only so much growth in film.
To further that, I love sometimes with the right person, like my friends that I know, like Phil or Trevor or Gianluca, like if they're gaffing and they want me to come and key for them and be their
support
backbone,
system.
I'm all for that. Hell yeah, brother. Like, fucking take what I've taught you or what you've taught me and move to the next level, and I will back you up.
Yeah.
100%. I got no problem going back to the trenches if I'm doing it for somebody's progression that I fucking truly believe in.
So that is another great segue. I think that another thing to keep in mind with the expectations versus reality of set is the collaboration aspect. I think a lot of people going in, especially, my generation is the Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
We saw these independent single name people coming up, and you growing up, there
You
was
think like independent cinematographer, but
Yeah,
this is a collaborative art.
when you're like, oh, I'm gonna make a movie, in your mind you only think you need the actor, the director, and the camera. Like there's these pinnacle roles, and the truth of the matter is there's so many other roles. It's such a collaborative art. So I think too many people want to be competitive with others in the industry as opposed to
industry with an ego. I don't even want to work with you.
right.
Like, I know that every single person that comes in this today, at the start of this production, I value and I need so that my job's easier. And I want to hear
every role
why.
is important.
Why do you need me to do this? Can I do this? I will talk to sound. Can I put cords here? Can I put a fan here? Can I put, if we need a generator here, I have to talk to audio about that. Because as gaffer or electrician, you're powering makeup, you're powering hair, you're powering wardrobe. You know what I mean? All these things that are quintessential. They are essential to every other cog working the way they're supposed to.
Yep.
And nobody's more important than anybody. So when you bring ego into this, you're automatically fucking with the system.
Quinn, gripping. Did you think you'd have as much time to sit as it turns out you do?
I mean,
it gets frustrating sometimes,
didn't-
doesn't it?
It didn't phase me because you'll never sit around and wait more than in the military. So it didn't phase me, but it definitely surprised me on set, honestly. Now it's different when you're sitting for a reason, like everything's all set up. They're just working out the shot. The actors
Yeah.
need some time, or hey, the sound guy doesn't have time code. We're gonna sit around for 3 hours. Like there's or something, just some BS reason versus them like getting the art right.
When you know
Yeah.
why, when it's for the ultimate outcome.
If something is not happening to move things forward,
Yeah.
I was surprised
when
how
you
much waiting around.
understand it, it's
Yeah.
so much more tolerable. When you're like, "Why are we sitting here?" and nobody has an answer.
was the
that's
joke hurry up and wait ever made at school? Ever referred to
no.
at all? Like, is that not something you heard until you got on set?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I don't know if I heard it. I mean, it wasn't really a thing. Like they didn't really. There was no like griping. They didn't really like teach like the. They didn't really teach us to gripe. You know, it wasn't. It wasn't really like.
It's too bad. That's an important lesson.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big part of filmmaking.
You got to know how to complain and
You
complain
gotta
properly.
vent. You gotta
You gotta-
vent.
You gotta
gotta
vent,
vent.
but not be too bitchy, because then you get kicked
Yeah.
off set or fired.
Yeah.
They're like,
It
you're
wasn't-
called
Oh
the
yeah,
downer.
mind your respect.
Yeah.
But it's a job like any other, and like we said, it's temporary employment. So the group that you're in, the specific group, while you may work with many of them again, you are in a temporary situation. So you're gonna need to vent sometimes. Sometimes you need to go off where
Make sure
you're
it's with
out of
You gotta
earshot.
find a safe space or somebody who
And
understands
bitch,
you.
bitch about me, bitch about I don't care. We all piss each other off.
I think to quantify it, it would be that MPI paints the picture to its students that every set is going to be like the union, like super organized, super pre-production, perfect hierarchy, like everything, like crazy crafty, a third AD, a full 14-man genie team. Like every set's going to be that, and they really don't express like what the grind's going to be like. Like they preach it like every set is just this giant thing. And that's because what they're trying to prepare you for big time.
Is the big time.
But they don't really prepare you to get to like the what you're going to be doing for the next 4 to 7 years to
there
get to
are
big
3
time.
or 4 stages
Yeah.
from graduating or
Yeah.
just entry level to the big time.
Yeah.
And every single stage is just as shockingly different from the next. So, like, working on a $100,000 production. Oh, hold on. Let me step it back. Working on a $10,000
production.
to working on a $50,000 to working on a $100,000 to working on a $300,000 to working on $1 million to working on a $3 million.
And it doesn't
to
mean-
working on a $4 million in 3-day 3 music video shoot.
Yeah.
With iconic international stars. Like, I've done all these things. There's really no difference if you come willing, hungry, passionate, the people will recognize your talent.
How
But you need to know also, like at the lower budget, sometimes you just need to step off and be like, look, if this is where they ride and this is where I am today, let's let them ride. And because I mean, I've gone prematurely gray off of stressing over something that I have no control over because I'm used to a higher level production, but this is the one that's paying the mortgage this month. And sometimes you just need to ride your lane.
Now, just because a movie doesn't have that much money, in your guys' experience, does like less money mean less professional?
No,
Not necessarily.
Not always.
So, yeah, and could you guys kind of elaborate on that? You guys have been way more sets than me.
Yeah, I have 100%. The very first film set that I ever had the first feature film set that I ever had the opportunity to work on was
If I Can't Have You.
If I Can't Have You, and it was many, if not all of us, were working on either a favor
free on
or
TV.
a favor or trade, or like it was, we were there because we wanted to be there, every single one, and it is to this day still the most organized and fun set that I'd ever been on. And
There was no stress. Everybody was so just happy to be with
literally
each other.
everybody there wanted to be there, regardless of how big or how small your responsibilities were, and that made all the difference. All the difference in getting through, because we had some long days.
Yes.
There were some days before I got on set where they worked an overnight. Legit. What time did you start? And then it was a long day.
I think we started at like 10 a.m. maybe.
And it went through the morning.
And we went to 5 a.m. and I drove home while the rest of the crew drank beers watching the sunrise. I was driving home to come back in 3 hours just because I needed to
decompress.
well, no, I had to be there to wake my daughter up.
Yeah,
I wasn't there to put her to bed, and it was just one of those things.
But yeah, my takeaway from that was, the want, the desire. There was you do get caught up, and I'm probably jaded in that as well, because we want this to be our career. So there's a black and white necessity for it to be your career, and that's payment and compensation.
There's something in that. So I was an hour from home, and everybody else was staying. So I actually opted out of camaraderie, and for the commune, to go home and come back, when I could have just stayed, and and there was a lot of bonds built that day between people, like watching the sunset. Some people were having their last beer while somebody was getting up having a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? But I heard those stories, and
I think for me, the difference between having an experience like that and then having some of the lesser positive experiences that I have experienced, the biggest difference is the reason that everybody is there. I think there are many, many reasons for people to want to be in this industry, and I can't tell you what are the right reasons. I have my opinion on what are some of the wrong reasons, but I think the wrong reason can be poisonous to any set. And if I had to elaborate, for example, one of the things that is a bit irksome,
if you're there to post on social media that you're on set today, get the fuck off my set.
If the whole reason that you want to be there is to say that you're there, as opposed to, because what that does is now the pain and the suffering is now pain and suffering to you, instead of just a hurdle to get to the goal. And I think your body reacts to it differently, your energy reacts to it differently, and you react to different people differently because 100%.
of it.
So when like you guys said, it was an awesome experience. Everyone wanted to be there. You guys didn't like write it or nothing. It was you guys were so as people that were brought on to the crew, what made you feel that way?
Because it was my first time on a feature movie. I didn't know anything about the script. Whatever I saw was the first time I saw it, so I didn't really know what it was that we were making.
So
I was completely devoid of that.
I was brought on by the executive producer, and she said, "We need your help with this expansive style of lighting," and she wanted some help with some practical effects for blood work. and like fighting choreography. And, so it's the things I do, and I've grown to more focus on lights, but those things I still do. And when we went into that, I told her, I was like, look, you're stretching me a little thin, and I'm loving what I'm doing, but I need to bring my boy in. I need this guy to come in, because they had me come in for Fred Evans, who we've had on the show. He had tennis elbow. He was having some problems with his arm, and he couldn't hold the boom. So I came in as sound utility and immediately realized they didn't understand how to properly light a large outside scene, and they didn't know a lot of things, which is fine. Like, that's like I got to learn with them, help teach them. Like, it was this beautiful thing. But I got to bring my business partner in on it, and then they got to this fight scene, and nobody knew what to do with it. And I was like, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then Calvin, being the method actor he is, was like, oh, well, thanks for all the planning. I'm going to make Brian hit me in the face. Like, Brian was like, huh. And I'm like, Calvin, you need to just turn your cheek and sell it. He's like, it's not hard enough. But it was this beautiful culmination of all these people wanting to be where they needed to be. And when I showed, like, a PA Seth, like, how to, like, track with the light and fall out of a scene because the camera's going to go past, it was just this beautiful dance of everybody learning how to up their game. Even me, like, learning from them and how they would do things differently than I was taught. Like where you taught at MPA, I was taught at Specs, and then learned from other people. Like, it's just a beautiful dance of everybody loving what they're there to do, to create this message and this art for people to take in.
I think for me, being that it was my first opportunity on a film set, I wanted to prove myself, because I didn't know anybody else there other than Joe. So I wanted to make a stamp, because I wanted somebody to remember me for next time. But because my desire for getting into film came a lot from watching behind the scenes stuff from DVDs earlier in life, as well as reading stories and reading books about filmmaking and learning about the movies that like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Clerks, that were just shitty little movies being made by some people, becoming phenomenons that are culturally, important. I didn't know whether or not this piece that I was working on could be that story. And this could be the film that, like, today I'm talking about, going forward. So for me, it was personal motivation that I wanted this to be important. Regardless of what happened to it in the end, I wanted my work to matter, regardless of what I was.
Yes.
The first day I showed up on set, I didn't really have a title. They kind of threw me in as Grip. I was like, sure, because these are things that I have light experience in. I knew the idea of it. I knew it was necessary, but I didn't know. Like, one of the things for me...
This man spent an hour and a half in a bedroom that was 110 degrees.
Because no one let me know they...
said, cut.
I didn't hear a goddamn cut. Not one.
You guys keep talking. I gotta pee.
I threw my train of thought off.
You were talking about,
You were willing to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that there was sacrifice. I was willing to make sacrifice. So, I wasn't being paid to go out there. I was out there for, what can I take away? What can I move away from this? I wanted to make sure I learned something from somebody. And ultimately, I wanted, in the back of my mind, for the thing that we're to be making to be history in some way. And, not everything that you work on is going to be a banger. And I think that is... another important thing to think about, that, like, you shouldn't treat the script or the job that you go on any differently, regardless of the caliber of the script or the set that you're on. Mm-hmm. I think you should always come into set bringing 150%, because, one, you're always working for the next job. Always. You
completely agree.
Always be trying to impress somebody random on set that you might think is just some random Joe, not to realize that they themselves are in the industry and just catch on. Someone I'm talking to now was told me that the first time he remembered me was just something I did a day day job on. I came in, I did a cover grip shift for somebody. I ran into him. We had a conversation that I almost had completely forgotten. And then I met him on other sets and blah, blah, blah. And then, he's telling me, one of the reasons that I called you is because I remembered that time that I met you on this set and we had this conversation. And it was completely unrelated to the job that he's offering me now. So there was an impact that was made because I was there for one day, but I didn't treat it like, oh, fuck it, I'm here for one day. It doesn't matter what I do. I came in, I did my job to the level that I wanted to be, impressive for and made an impression.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think even if you're not like proud of the movie you're working on, even if you show up and yes, you can put forth in your actions like the hardest you can. You can put out and try to like you can try to like impress or whatever, but even if it's not genuine, even if you're just putting it out there, you can still just have fun with the people on set. Mm-hmm. Like that can be genuine. Even if I'm on some really low tier movie that's really unorganized and then it's not very artful, and I'm still giving it my all because that's my job, but it's not like I'm not giving it my all from my heart. I'm just giving it my all because that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
You can still have fun with the guys. You can still have fun with the people you're working with, and that can kind of bring the joy that's missing, the joy that's not there because the art's not there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
You like our Nerf gun fights?
Yeah, like for example, we could be on like the most unorganized, like shitty movie, and we're still, like, at least I will still be giving it my all. But that doesn't mean it has to be this like soul sucking thing. I can still have fun with the boys, like that's kind of the whole. That's kind of the essence of G&E. Sometimes I look at Cameron Apartment, I'm like,
oh, those poor guys.
Those guys need to be heavily medicated.
Sons of bitches. Yeah.
So
those poor guys.
And poor AD. So many times I see Brad, and he's just a one-man department that is just trying not to kill himself.
Yeah, no shit, right?
And he is G&E
I love
through and
all
through.
aspects of filmmaking. I really do. But that's part of the reason I do. I don't pursue DP like I would or should, honestly, because
I think that's an important point.
I get to just.
You have to realize
man.
all of the responsibilities. For you to desire a role to just be called that, to take the credit,
it pays a little better.
Well,
sure,
I get that, but like if it's just about the clout that comes with saying you are a this and you don't really fully appreciate and enjoy, then you're gonna be unhappy. You're gonna talk about quitting the industry all the time.
Zero ego. I want. If I'm able to just participate in a beautiful shot composition, I'm a happy man.
Yeah.
Right? I would love to be the one like, hey, this is the better shot, like blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times there's some of these creators, I don't have the energy for your bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just, we got 4 angles to choose from. You're going to choose that one. I'm not going to argue with you. How do you want it lit? Let's go.
How far do you think we are from UFO Studios being a thing where your grip trailer is even more expanded? You're a DP, and if you hire the trailer, it comes with you as a DP, Brad is the AD, Phil is the grapher, and then me as the grip or whatever. Like, how do you think we're like a year out from that?
About a year.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, we're a package deal that will make your movie.
I would have said 6 months, 2 months ago, but we're facing the Donald Trump recession. We're facing Pluto going into.
Is it going into Gatorade again?
It's going.
What is that?
It's not retrograde, so Gatorade, but it's going into a state of gravitational pull that it hasn't been in over 300 years. And the last time it was there was the French Revolution.
That's fascinating, but what the fuck does that have to do with film?
Well, what it has to do with is
his astrology.
No, it has to do with the fact that
white girl science.
Do you sense a little more disturbance? Things coming to a little more of a head, like less agreeance. There's more revolt. There's more dissonance. That's what
I mean,
it means.
ultimately, you can control what you can control, and you can't control what you can't control. And I think, a year is probably a
What
super
has
strong-
happened, if you do not learn from it, you are doomed to repeat.
Damn right.
Learn your fucking history.
Hell yeah.
And astrological history is still history, okay? Like 3,000 years ago, 300 years ago.
Dude, listen.
Look, when comets go by,
I love Gatorade.
those fucking magnetic fields fuck with your brain. They fuck with the centrifuge of our galaxy.
I'm gonna
Walt
bring you in.
Walt
I'm gonna bring you
You're
in.
right. You're
Walt
right.
Disney is
We'll
frozen
save this
beneath
for when we
Epcot.
get Neil
Jesus
deGrasse
Christ.
Tyson on the
Walt
show.
Disney is under Epcot right now.
Fucking
He's
hell.
frozen.
All right, so
Cryogenics or eugenics.
we've obviously gone off the rails. So I
fucking love you
But right before.
We got to thaw out Walt
Damn.
Disney. We got to get him out of there.
So share with us your stories.
Russell Brand, help me.
Your stories of on-set experience. Tell us about what your expectation versus reality was. I want to thank everybody here. This is our regular crew now, so ain't nobody special, but we are all special. Thank you guys for sharing your stories.
Thank you for bringing my dream to reality.
Join us on our regular podcast, the Unorthodox Film Podcast.
Hoorah!
And Quinn, where can people reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram at Quinn.McLaren. No spaces, no caps, and that's a period when I say a dot. Or just reach me under the UFO Studios or Facebook, Quinn McLaren.
Yeah, so you can reach me, if you look me up on IMDb under Joseph Sheldon Quick. That's a good one. Or on Instagram at chaotic_artisan. You all know how to spell.
And you can find me at B. Ford Clark at... No, I've totally forgotten. I think it's just at Beeford. I don't fucking know. I should have been more prepared.
Look up Bradford Clark Jr.
Look up.
I think it's Beeford Clark. Beeford
His
Clark
family
on
calls him
Instagram.
BJ.
on OnlyFans.com.
That's right. Coming soon. Real quick, I want to go over because I thought this was a pretty cool list that we had just out of nowhere come up with. So if you guys have any additions or comments on it, the tips that we kind of came up with today for getting on set and being on set is
Wow, we came up with tips?
We did.
Wow,
Be
you
useful.
are on your job.
Be useful, be free, be hungry, be curious, and be friendly. Anything you want to add real quick?
No.
Are we okay with
That's all encompassing, man. That's a good list.
Yeah? See, we did that today, guys. We
Good
did
on
something.
us. Let's get a
So,
three-way.
hey.
Three-way going.
So thank you everybody for joining us, and
No
we will
homo.
see you next time.
It's a high five.
Why you... God damn it, Joe.